in love, and I was spending so much time with this wonderful man who was also an artist. He was a musician. His name was Moore. He was a saxophone player for Dave Matthews Band. And that's when I met the universe. That's when I met my twin, my best friend, my soulmate, my everything. And I was doing art then, and when he passed away, all of that left with him. It just left me. And I had to figure out how to get back to it. And it took me a while. So I had a friend call me this past spring, and it's a very dear friend of mine. And he's a businessman in New York. And he calls me and he says, you know, I didn't know you paint. And because that's how much it ended. It just died, you know. And he's like, I didn't know you paint. Well, you know, I'm thinking, I think I'm going to send you to my ranch in Nebraska. And I want you to go there, and I think you got to start painting again. And it was like my angel, my Roy, came and he was like, ding, ding, ding. And I just said, oh, okay. But I didn't even think about it. Because if anybody said it to me before, I would have been like, you're crazy, because I'm not painting anymore. Because, you know, painting for me is so emotional. And I didn't want to have to get emotional anymore. And I went on Facebook, and I don't know why, I just sort of posted this thing, you know, this person writing paint. And I get this message from Andrea, and she says, when do you want to do a show? And I was like, oh man, I already put it out there. I threw that out in the universe, and now I'm going to answer. So I answered her, and I was like, okay. So this is what happened, and I went to Nebraska, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea. The only painting I had in my mind was the piece in the back with the Cheerios, and that's called A Conversation Between Nigger, Ginger, and Cracker. And that piece was the piece that started me painting. But when I got to Nebraska, I still didn't know what I was going to do. And in my mind, the original title was A Conversation Between Nigger and Cracker. But I had no idea what it was going to look like. So I get off the plane, my friend picks me up, and he says, where's your art equipment? And I was like, I didn't pack any. He said, you came here, you're supposed to be painting, and you don't have any art equipment? I was like, no, let's just go to the store. And we go to the store, and I just did not want to paint, but I was there. We threw in some paints in the basket and some paint brushes, but I was like, I don't know, I'm sure you've got something on your ranch. And we get there, and there was nothing. There was this paper. We go into one of his barns, and there's this huge roll of burlap. And I said, oh, I'll do burlap. And then there's a paper that this other paper that rolled out. He had somebody build some plywood pieces, and we took some nails, and he created the studio for me in one of the outbuildings that became like, I felt like I was in Disneyland or Disney World, because there was a mouse that freaked me out, and there was a wasp that would fly by my head, and he was steadily building a nest, and I never saw that happen before, and I'm there all by myself, and it's 650 acres. And the only person on this property was this Mexican kid who couldn't speak hardly any English, and he was on the other side, and so it's just us. And then there was cattle, there was an owl that freaked me out one night, and there were coyotes that were coming closer and closer as the days were going by, and I would hear them like, woo, and I was like, oh my God. But I got into this little studio, and this was my first piece. And I got into the studio, and I just started laying things down, and I was like, I don't know, I'm not too sure. And I gotta do this because I'm gonna have to deal with emotions that I haven't paid attention to for 5 years, and Roy loved my work, and I just kept thinking and talking to him, and I was like, what am I gonna do, because I can't just paint small. When I say small, meaning I can't just, paint something cute and pretty, because that won't be honest. And and I'm coming back into life, having to put my emotions and my experience, because I had to confront it in order to get to the painting. And so this one, when I laid down the paint of the paper, I walked out and I saw this piece of wood right outside of the studio, and I looked down and I was like, oh my God! By then I'm going crazy because there's nobody there. So I just, like I said the animals, I would run, do my jog, and there would be the cows. And they're just like coming over the fence and they're chewing. And then looking at me like, and who are you? Because there's nobody around. And I'm just running. And I'm constantly thinking, what am I gonna do? And I see this and that wood, and I was like, grab the wood, and then I go out and I do a jog, and I look at the cows, and I'm talking to the cows. I was like, I got this wood, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and they're just looking at me. But it was like a meditation where I could just look at them and watch them chew, and the little calves are like, what are you doing? Ran back, glued it on, and then the fire spitter came into my mind. And the fire spitter, from what I understood it, and I love that Andrew put this here because there's even more, the fire spitter, from what I learned, is really all about this is heaven. That's why I have 3, 4, and 5. This is heaven, and heaven, it's just all love. And the fire spitter is all about when someone passes away in our third dimension where we live, and they go through the fourth, and they get to the fifth, and they're in heaven. The fire spitter actually happens over here, and the whole idea behind it is to make things good, get rid of the evil. You want to make a blessing. You want them to have a safe journey to heaven. And it's all about good. Bottom line is good, and to find the inner strength, and to support the person that has gone, and also to support people that are here, and support yourself. And so the fire spitter, he actually is spitting out instead of fire, because if you see the ceremony, actually they do this little magic thing. I don't know how they do it, but they spit out fire. And it creates all this magical activity, whatever. And he's spitting out bees, and the bees have to go through the fourth dimension, and they get to us, where we are, on this planet. And I use, the thing I like about the burlap is because it's so hard. It was so hard to paint on this. And I even told Andrea, I am never painting on burlap again, because I had 6 weeks to get these paintings, and the burlap was so hard. But then, I backed it up and I said, this burlap is hard. This burlap is hard because I have just gone through hell. I don't need to go to hell to go through hell. I just went through hell. And this burlap was my struggle of, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to fight through this, I'm going to make myself a better person, I'm going to get through it, I'm not going to let it kill me. And it was and it was really, really, really difficult. I cannot put enough words on that. And so when I got over to here, because I knew I had the 3 levels. When I got over here, the bees are here because they're going to pollinate love, because we have so much chaos. And we do this to each other, where we do things and we hurt each other, and we just keep sending our souls out into the universe in so much pain, when we should actually give each other love. And so all of these pieces, because I'm not going to go into detail about all the pieces, but all the pieces show that we have chaos. But we can repair it with love and understanding and forgiveness, because that's everything in every single painting. And I use Cheerios because of Cheerios. I love what they did this summer. There was this commercial, and there was this beautiful little girl, and she had this like crazy beautiful hair, and her mom's white, her dad's black, and she goes in there, she's like, Mom, is it true that Cheerios, I don't remember exactly what it's like, is it true that Cheerios is good for the heart? And Mom's like, yeah. And she runs out of the kitchen, and you don't see her anymore. And then you see the dad on the couch, and he's got the Cheerios all over his heart. He's like, what? And the Cheerios falls on the floor, and he calls out his wife's name, but so many people were upset about this. And there was so much that people sent letters and emails to, I think it's General Mills, and they were upset. And I was like, how can you be upset? That was love. That was the most innocent thing of love that you could ever want from anybody. That little girl just loved her daddy. She didn't see a black man. She didn't see a white woman. She just saw, that's my mom and dad. And that's what's wrong. And that's one of the things I'm trying to express over here. Because over here, there's no color. There's no religion. It is just perfect, beautiful love. That is, that's the universe. That's God. That is perfect. Over here, when we get to the fourth dimension, that's when your ego gets ready to go into the third, and then you're there. And so Cheerios, I use it in this one, and I also use it over there. But the whole point with Cheerios is that we have got to love. We can't keep wasting our time judging people about the color of their skin or the size of their body or who they love. Okay, you got a man who loves a man, a woman. I have no right to judge anybody. None of us do. And so that's a lot of what's behind this piece. I think it's one of the strongest pieces. This piece here, that's my Trayvon Martin piece. And this one is, I read this article where Zimmerman told the police that Martin was walking with an unnatural, slow, meandering gait. And I saw that article and I was like, who does that? I don't know, I gotta figure out, how was it unnatural? And I remember standing up thinking, and I couldn't figure it out. And so it made me think of Daffy Duck, because he's such a cornball. And so if anybody's gonna blow Goofy, it was Daffy, and so therefore, I did this. And you'll see, in a lot of the pieces, they're a little vulgar in language, but that is the personality that I see in people. Their personalities are vulgar. And so I am repeating in a certain way their personalities, but once again, I throw in the X's and O's because even though I see vulgarity, I also see that the only way I'm going to become a better person is if I can just find a way to forgive them, if I can just find a way to not judge them. And it's very difficult because there are a lot of people that I sit there on my computer, I'm like, oh, what a jerk. Or I look at politics. I mean, that's the easiest one if you want to go anywhere, just go to politics. And that's a school of thought for anybody. But here, this is just saying how Zimmerman, he's like, he's looking at Trayvon as a nigger. And he sees this black kid who really at the end of the day is just walking. He's on his cell phone. He's minding his own business. He wasn't really doing anything, but there's a guy who's looking and judging. And it's not just one group of people who does it, and that's the whole point here also. Everybody does it. People do it in all groups, but we have to get to the point that we have to stop treating each other because I use this character, and he thinks he's a rabbit. So he calls him a rabbit because he doesn't know. He's a baby, so he doesn't know. So he's in his mind, I'm going to go kill the rabbit. Now he actually uses a little toy that has a little thing that drops off, and that's underneath. And how is just the action, and then the bullet is going up to him. It's like, so he, you have Daffy, Trayvon figuring out how am I going to walk, because it used to be if you saw a black person running, oh my God, there's a black person running, you're going to kill him. Now he's walking. Oh my God, he's walking. It's not bite. And so he's like, oh. And the point is, you can't look at anybody however they walk. Everyone should be free to walk. And here, that's what happens here. So here you have these guys, and they're like, they're suit men, and they're successful, and unfortunately, they're white, and so they have that freedom. They understand. I can actually walk in this store, and no one's going to bother me. I can actually walk down the street in Valley Hills, and nobody's going to stop me. And I had a friend in Brooklyn I was walking with him, and he's this black producer, and we're just walking down the street, and he looks and he sees his father and his son, who are Caucasian, and he says, I will never know what that feels like. And I was like, what do you mean? He says, I will never know what it feels to walk knowing that nobody's going to bother me. And that was the first time that hit me. And that was in like the early 90s. I was like, really? And he's like, no. And so here it shows, because of how we treat each other in life, fortunately for some people that they have been able to feel free. And because he's like, yes, I'm good. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go rob everybody. And nobody's going to, I'm a businessman. And I'm going to get a hedge fund. And I'm going to go suck the money out of everybody. You know what? I'm going to go to a happy jail, to have a good time. And he's walking away with his money. He's happy. He knows he's got it. But you got this dude over here, there's no way he can do that because he's going to go to hardcore jail. This guy, he's just happy and free. And so that's what this is all about. It's just life, and where we have to change things and realize that we are all the same. And that's what all of this is about. And the Cheerios over there, that one's pretty intense, but I actually think it's kind of funny because no one's the same here, but we're all the same. And so the conversation, when I decided to do this piece, like I said, the first one, I had no idea how I was going to make it work. But I knew I was going to have Cheerios, and I knew I was going to have a black figure and a white figure. And I got, when I was there, I still didn't know, and I was talking to my friend in his kitchen, and he's like, how are you going to do that piece? And I was like, I don't know. And I kept feeling I need something. There needs to be another element, because it's not just black and white. It's not just black and white. It's on so many levels. It's like if someone is from another country, or if someone has a different religion, or if someone is gay, or if someone is tall and skinny, or fat, or whatever, that's, I gotta figure out how to make this work where it shows that this is all of us. It's not just a race thing. And I knew I wanted to have the conversation, but I wasn't sure how the conversation was going to go. And so then my friend says, well, you know what? This reminds me of, and I can't think of the comedian, but there's a certain comedian, he's British, and he does a stand-up routine. He sings a song, only a ginger can call a ginger a ginger. And I said, well, what's a ginger? And he says, a ginger's a redhead. And I was like, because he's redhead. And I was like, oh, okay, bingo. And that's when I knew I could put it in there, and that's when I got the ginger. And so the conversation, that's why it works, because it becomes nigger, ginger, and cracker. Doesn't matter who nigger is, who ginger is, who cracker is. They're all words that for people, it's going to affect somebody. And so then the language goes, the nigger, his is black. Ginger, her conversation is in red, and cracker is in white, but I put purple underneath because he just needs a little help so he doesn't disappear. And it just goes to, so it's like, I love the conversation because Nigger says, hey, Ginger, and she says, Nigger, don't call me a ginger. Only a ginger can call a ginger, right, Cracker? Then Cracker says, that's right, Nigger, don't call Ginger a ginger. And then Nigger says, sorry, Ginger, I thought we was cool like that. Ginger says, ain't nothing cool about that, Nigger. Then Cracker says, Nigger, are we cool? And Nigger says, oh, Cracker. And then, I'm sorry, because it's so ridiculous. Cracker says, well, sorry. And then it says right here, long pause, I'm hungry. And then all eyes turn to Cracker because they're like, what, you're hungry? And so he's like, y'all hungry for MDs? And so that's like Mickey D's, and I broke it down even simpler. And then Ginger says, hell yeah. And then Nigger says, my nigga. And that was like, oh my God, this is great. And then this is a report that's going to the teacher. So the teacher, she's so out of it, she doesn't even pay attention to his report. So she decides to take 10 points off because he used white out. She had no other comments. And she exaggerates white out. And originally she gives him a B+, but then she didn't like this, so she gives him a C. And then she notes, I told you about using white out. That was all she had to say. Then we get down to the bottom, when she sees MDs, she says, "Is this pertaining to the establishment McDonald's? Be specific." That's all she had to say. And they're just friends. Because at the end of the day, they go off and eat together. And that's what friends do. And you don't need all this other stuff. And they're all telling each other it's not cool. And Nigger doesn't get his, it's not better for him, it's not better for Ginger, it's not better for Cracker, it's all the same. And so, and over here, the assignment, I created a board, and the assignment, because I went to parochial school, so I had to please my nuns, and I'm sure they'd be happy, and I used the perfect writing for them. But it's the biology assignment, because at the end of the day, it's just pigmentation. It's just, if you go and you take our blood, the thing that's most amazing about our blood is that you're going to find the same iron from that dying star that created our universe. And if we go back that far, and we all have that same iron, how are we any different? We can go into history and say, oh, okay, well, my family was over here, my family was over there. That's grand, that's fine and dandy, but you know what? How about that dying star? That dying star exploded, and then we became, and every single one of us has that same iron from that dying star. So the pigmentation is just a matter of biology. It's just life evolving, but we all come from the same star. So I still don't understand how we can't love each other. And so here, it's sort of like a punishment, but at the same time, it's not. And it starts out, I will love, and it goes, I will love you. Will I love you? Well, love, and it just keeps going. But at the end, it is, will I love you? Because at first, I will love you. You know, you go into a playground and you see little children, they're 2, 3, 4, 5 playing. They have no idea what color you are. They have no idea what religion you are. They have no idea if you're fat, skinny, whatever. They have no idea. All they know is, I am going to go play my ass off. This is fun, and I love you. And you see them, and they're interacting, and they're having such a wonderful time. That's what we get when we get here. But then as life goes by, we get to a point, it's like, well, will I love you? And I don't know. I don't think it's so hard. You got to get to a point where you got to find a way to love and forgive people, because if you don't, you're going to miss out. And I can tell you, I mean, I've had situations, and I'm sure everybody has had situations in their lives where you can hate somebody for doing something to you, whether it's the color of your skin, your religion, or anything. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to find a way to love each other, because if you can't forgive each other, you're in a lot of trouble. Because I'm the kind of person, I believe that when we leave here, what we take is how we left. And that thing that you take with you is what's going to determine what your next adventure is going to be. And I want a good adventure. That's all I'm saying. I'm ready for one. Over here, we've got this is my burlap, and this is the piece that made me think about the case in Newtown. This is about innocence. And it's about, again, love, and the love for life, and the love for bullets, the love for guns. You can have a gun, but you know what? A gun doesn't do anything until you put a bullet in it. And our souls are all young. Our bodies get old, but we're all children, because life is all about learning. It's all about, you come here to learn. So in a weird way, we're children forever. And that's why I think when people say, don't lose your spirit, don't lose that child in you, you got to hang on to that kid. You know, I had this classmate from 30 years ago over there, Michelle, and I haven't seen her in 30 years, and she just came up. Michelle was this. This was Michelle. And that's the thing about us. It's like that kid in you, that one that laughs and you're silly. You know, my sister, we're still silly. My siblings, and you know, my friend Sarah, we're silly. You know, silly is good, and you don't want to lose it. But you know, when we get so caught up in the love of war, which has no purpose, it's at that point. Why do we need so many bullets? I don't care about guns. I care about bullets. Because that is what kills us. This thing, you can point at me, but there's nothing in it, it's not going to kill me. This is what I care about. I care about explosives and things that go in and destroy what we have, the innocence and what we have. And when we send people to war, there's innocence that's gone, you know, and the violence, it doesn't work. So I had to squeeze this one in because I think it just speaks itself. And America loves bullets. And right here, it's very quiet. This is a whisper when it says run. And that came to me when I can't get this one little girl's face out of my mind. And she was in Newton. And every time I see her, I always think, I just wish I was there to tell her to run. Not just her, but everybody. But we shouldn't have to whisper, run, because the bang is going to come when you have the bullet, and we shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to feel the pain when we whip out these guns and put the bullet in. And so this is my anti-bullet piece. I'm going to go this one first, and then I'm going to end on this one. This is a very difficult piece, and so I'm just trying to figure out the best way to explain this piece. Karma, it's about karma. Here are the words in Latin that says, after singing the hymn, they went out onto Mount Olivet. It's titled Into the Garden. Originally it was going to be entitled Into the Garden with Brothers. And it's a piece about betrayal, greed. And actually I realized I didn't do those two. If you don't mind, I'd like to go to this one, these first, because that's my end. These two right here, they're both about greed, and these are not on burlap because there's just no way they were going to come. All of those on burlap it was a process, but here, this is about the ultimate greed. This is ultimate greed. This is like, there's no room for love, this is just greed. And so, I know I have a couple of young people here, and I know some people may get offended, but again, this is about vulgar personalities. This is about you are just really predictable. You're fascinating, you're full, you're spectacular. Here he says, you gotta love them. This one's like, indeed. And this one is like, really? And this one, she says, so does she think they can take it with them? And so this is like living on our earth, and these are pigs, obviously. And all of a sudden, these pigs realize, oh my God, there's money. And so they're yelling and screaming, money. And this one, he's like, where's the damn money? And then this one's like, over here. And then this one's, he gets even angrier. And he's like, where's the goddamn money? And then this one says, kill. And over here, I was so into it, I covered up some of the words, I can't remember it all. But this one, she's something, I was just so into it. But they wanted it now. And then this one, he finds it, and he's like, I got it right here, motherfuckers. And it's like, you were so scary, because what are you going to do for this money? You have become so disgusting and vulgar that you were willing to kill anybody, hurt people. You're so willing to do just for money that you can't take with you. What you got to do is figure out how you're going to float on the water of life and make life a better place for everybody. And so that's when the sea over here, which you have the sea here, the sea over here comes in, it's to drown the greed. And that's what the love is doing. So, but it's up to us in humanity. And that's why my fingerprints are here, because it's like in pink. Because I want to love you, I want, because I realize you're so lost. You're so lost in your greed that I just got to send it out. And the idea is to think eventually we can all realize that we got to cover up, we got to get rid of this, we got to drown this greed. And it's a very simple piece. And then this one is about the brilliance. I call him a gangster, but he's a brilliant businessman. He's shrewd. This guy, he can make magic happen. And that's why he's got the rabbit ears, because he knows how to steal and rob. He's corporate. He's the machine. That's the best way I can describe him. And I know someone like that. And so he's sitting here with these hearts that they're black, like they're dead. There's no life to them anymore. Because everybody wants his money. Everybody wants to be able to be attached to him, wants to be able to say, I know him. But once you do, he sucks the life out of you, and you sell your soul in a weird way to the devil to know him. And so these are the banking guys, these are the yes people, these are the people that work for him, except this guy, he worked for him, but his attitude is like, this guy over here, oh my God. And so he's actually on his way out. This guy works with him, and he says, and don't forget to say yes, because you have to be a yes person. This guy, he's like, I know what you did. This guy, he's like, everybody's your puppet. And over here you have the little black sheep, who's like, I can't live that, I can't agree with him, and they're gonna have to kill him because he can't exist. And he says, kill it. One heart gets away, and he's like, you gotta get it. And so it's just this gangster mentality of there's greed. Once again, it's just the most amazing greed, and you can be the most incredible businessman, and you can look at politicians, you can look at CEOs, you can look at people, and just all kinds of business. But people they are willing to sell their souls just for this, and it's just not working. It's not working. You know, we look at our waters in the Pacific Ocean, and we are no longer going to be able to eat the fish out of the Pacific Ocean. We're no longer going to be able to swim in the Pacific Ocean. And I live in California. I don't go in the water anymore because the radiation levels are so high from Japan. We don't even hear about it. And that is all part of greed. And I call him the magical, he's a gangster. You know, people say, oh, gangsters, they live in the ghetto or whatever. Really? These are gangsters. These are gangsters. Superb liar. He will teach you how to empty your soul and fill your wallet, and that's what happens. They're fantastic thieves, brilliant master manipulation, genius. You know, you can go back to politics alone, and that's what that is. And so I use the Pillsbury Doughboys because they represent gluttony. They're all happy because they're just supposed to be cute and chubby. It's like, yeah, we taste good. Money tastes good. We taste good. That's them. All right, so I'm going to finish over here. So we got to these. This is just really difficult to talk about, but it's just something I experience with people, and people just wanting everything and not even thinking about love, and this one's just, you gotta just, best way I can say, you just gotta find a way to, you gotta forget the money. People die every day. People get sick every day. You don't want a relationship with someone so close to you that you don't spend the time to get to know them the way you never did before, even if it's a sibling. You want to be able to say to that sibling, I love you, I'm so sorry, whatever. Because once they're gone, they're gone. And you made a mess, and if you didn't clean it up, somewhere it's going to have to get cleaned up. And it won't be here. And you don't want to leave here, because when you, and I have to say, I'm fortunate enough to have experiences with people who have had near-death experiences, and everybody says the same thing. It is the most beautiful place. It is so beautiful. And the fact that they had to come back is always a disappointment, but they come back because they realize that they have to. And they all say the same thing. You have got to get it right. And that's what this is saying. You can sit here and you can be greedy, you can do horrible things, you can say horrible things to people, you can do your best to hurt people, but you know, at the end of the day, you're going to have to get it right. Because if you don't, this is what you take with you. All of this anger, all of this greed, and say, oh my God, how much stuff do you really need? How much money? I mean, you can build that pile up so high, but how important is it to you if you don't share love with people, if you don't learn to forgive people? And the anger and the greed that I experienced, my thing was, well, if I don't figure out how to love all of the people who are spitting this out and forgive these people, I'm not going to be any better of a person. And that's why this piece is difficult to talk about, but I did take these shingles out of my little studio because there was a bucket with shingles in it, and I was like, well, what am I going to do with that? And so I took them out, like, oh, okay, I'm going to make some African masks. The point behind the African mask is where you can be two people. You can be a person and, you know, pretend you're somebody else. You can remove the mask and be who you are. I prefer not to wear a mask. It may not make, you know, a lot of people happy, but what you see is what you get. And that's what these are all about, the mask. And then this is just, you know, this is a symbol of brothers betraying the brother. And that's in any situation. You don't necessarily have to be a brother of a person, but human beings are brothers and sisters. And that's when it talks about singing the hymn and going and all of that. Last piece, this is my piece to Roy, because he used to refer to me sometimes as a butterfly, and my mom used to refer to my sister and I as butterflies. And then one of my brothers, one was walking down the street, and there were these Hare Krishners, and this one Hare Krishna comes up and he says, so what kind of what's an animal? So, but he said something, and my brother looks at him and he says, well, my sister's a butterfly. And when our father passed away, he used to always come in butterflies. Literally to the point I was in the middle of the Atlantic, and we were jet skiing in Roy. And I was sitting there thinking, am I really going to spend the rest of my life with this guy? And I'm talking to my dad, and like, because he's driving crazy on this jet ski, and I don't know if I'm going to survive. This butterfly comes out in the middle, and it lands, and we're on the jet ski, and it's like, and the butterfly is right there, and I'm like, oh my God, I really have to marry you. And that's a true story. And when I met Roy, I went into his house, and I was still like, I don't know, this guy, he's a rock star, and he's going to be a jerk, you know, and I'm just trying not to, I don't want to like him, and he has these doors. And so when you close the doors, each panel is the wing of a butterfly. So when you close the doors, you remember those doors? And it's just a butterfly, and I was like, oh my God, Daddy's here again. Okay, fine. And so he's my butterfly, and I just had to reach a point where I miss him every day, but he was yelling at me the day before, all the way to the day before he passed away, and he said, sweetie, you gotta go paint. And I was like, I don't have to go paint. He was like, no, you gotta go paint. You can't take care of me. You gotta stop trying to take care of me. And I was like, oh, I got it. But I didn't know he was leaving. And he did. He just, like a butterfly, he went away. And so this is just a symbol of it. And it's like antiquity going way back. And I'm thinking like Mayan time and Indiana Jones. And so this is my Indiana Jones part. I never got to do the movie, so I got to paint it. But it's to give that it's locked in. You're never going, no one can take it from you. People can do whatever they want, but true love is amazing. And when you know it, there is nothing on this planet that you will ever experience more than true love. And I had to figure out how to keep living, because I don't want, again, I believe that when you leave, you're gonna see the people you love most. And I know, I'll see him, and I want him to say, sweetie, that was so awesome. I don't want him to see me and say, what were you thinking? Because he wouldn't say that. That's sweet. I finally got to that point when I got to this piece. This was the most difficult piece to do, and this was my version of a Mayan symbol. I created my little Mayan symbol of a cocoon, and the number 9 is completion. That is the number 9 in Mayan numerology, and it just means you're going to go off into the world, and you're going to be more enlightened. You're going to be more advanced within your spirit. And I finally got there this summer. I never thought I'd get there. I really never thought I'd paint again, seriously. And my sister and Sarah, and even Andrew, she just sat up in the bleachers, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to get her. And she was just waiting. And I think Andrea knew, but I just really never thought I was going to paint again. And that's why this piece is so raw, and the edges are burnt, because I wanted to burn the bridge. I'm not going back. I'm going to go forward. And that bridge of you can keep going back and you can hang on to the past, but again, Roy would be like, oh my God, because that's what he would do. And it's like, you can't keep going over there. Don't cross that bridge. And so I burnt that bridge. I didn't burn the love, I just burnt the bridge. And I'm forward, and I reached number 9, and I'm going to go higher and higher and higher, and that's what I want people to feel. And so these are the pieces. And by the way, it's called P.S. I Love You 2, because I did a piece for him before, and it was P.S. I Love You, and it was really cute. And so this is my farewell piece, and I won't ever have to do another piece for him again. So that's No. So